Good day. You are welcome to my YouTube channel, a channel created for digital designers like you. The goal is to promote and democratize digital design technologies by providing expert training and relevant industry exposures that will lead to enhanced project delivery and stimulate progress across a matrix of design disciplines. Revit Essential Training is the first in a series of courses designed to achieve the set goal. In the previous lesson, we looked at Chapter 2, Revit Setup and User Interface, with focus and attention on project environment and then the recent page environment or startup page. If you did not watch the previous video, I would advise you watch it before you watch this one. In this video, we are looking at the families environment or the components interface environment. It is made up of 3 items, each with different unique user interface. 2D loadable component user interface, 3D loadable component user interface, and conceptual massing component user interface. So let's look at how they all relate to each other in a Revit interface. This is a Revit setup, and this is our home screen or our recent page screen. From here, I'll go to Families, and then I'll choose New. A dialog box will pop up, giving me all the system family templates files available for me to choose from. I'll choose from the list annotation folder and then select metric generic tag for now, or let's say metric generic annotation. They all mean the same thing. When I open generic metric annotation, look at the interface very well. It will change. Good. It's like the interface is now of a different nature and attitude from the previous one we looked at. Here we have the File menu, the Create menu, Insert menu, View menu, Manage menu, Add in menu, and then the Modify menu. In the Create menu, we have Select, Properties, Detail panel, Dimension panel, Text panel, Datum panel, Workplane panel, and then the Family Editor panel. We realize that in the Detail panel, we have line work, detail component, detail group, symbols, masking region, field regions, dimensions, labels, text, and stuff. All these things are 2D objects that we work with. So anytime you want to create a custom 2D component to be used in your project, let's say as simple as a grid head or a section head or a door tag, then you must come here and then design it here. It can be as complex as a title block. So if you want your own custom title block, you come in here and then design it here. So any 2D component that you work with, it can be very simple, it can be very complex, depending upon the parameters that you assign to the 2D component. That 2D component must be designed here. As we move on with the tutorial, I will show you some of the 2D components that you can create and some of the methodologies that you can use to make your life easier for you. Now, let me go in, let me show you something before I move on. If you look at the project browser, it's the same thing we have in the project environment, but this time around, the number of items that we work with here are limited as compared to within the project environment. We have views, and if you right click, you cannot create any new view, you cannot do anything. It's just a single 2D view that you work with. So there's only a single view you can work with in annotation components. You can create a sheet also. There's no option for you to be able to create a new sheet here. It's just here. Then for the families too, you cannot create a new family here also. You cannot insert anything. Then we also have groups here, which you can work with. Either a detail group or a model group when you are working with either a detail component or you are working with a model component. Then we also have Revit links that will give you the ability to link in other 2D detail components and then work with them. So let's look at the other family environments. So I'll go to File, New, Family, and this time around I'm not going to choose an annotation family. I'm going to choose a generic model family. So I'll go to Metric, Generic, Model. Generic model means it has no relationship with anything, it's just a model. So we see that we have different families to create doors, to create metric duct cross, duct elbows, duct Cs. We have different families to create metric sites. You can create windows, you can create telephone hosted device and stuff. But if you choose generic, then it is not anything specific, but just a 3D model. So I'll choose a generic model for now, and then go to Open. Now, when you open the generic model, you'll realize that the interface is also different from the 2D objects. You watch close, good. See, under the Create tab, you have form creation tools here: extrusion, blend, revolve, sweep, and swirl blend, then void forms, which is also made up the same extrusion, blend, sweep, and then a void swirl blend. These modeling tools are the same as the other modeling tools that we use in other softwares, but only that in Revit you can parameterize them for it to be more useful to you than just doing a solid geometric model. You can also work with components, line models, text models, and the model groups. You also have the ability to include connectors like electrical connector, duct connector, pipe connector, cable connector, and a conduit connector, especially for services components. Okay, so if you look at here, like also within the project browser, you realize that one too, you can create views. You can create floor plans, ceiling plans, 3Ds, elevations, which were not available within the 2D components. And you can create sheet also, but you can import other families and then use them, either 2D family or another 3D family, and then use it here and then work with them. Okay, so this is basically the 3D component creation, and you can use here to create things that will load and work with the family, like doors, like columns, like balusters, like trusses, all 3D components that you need to load into a project. You can create them here and then use them. So it can be architectural 3D component, mechanical 3D component, electrical 3D component, plumbing 3D component, and a structural 3D component. But the question is, why would you create a 3D component? You create a 3D component as a designer because maybe you might need a component that will not be available in the default content to work with. And you can also rely on somebody to design your component for you if you are a designer. Now let's look at the last one. So I'll go to File, New, Family, and then I can choose Conceptual Mass here, and it will take me straight away to the Conceptual Mass Family Template folder. Or I can still go to the Family and then go to the Conceptual Mass folder here, and then choose a metric mass and then open it. Please, the metric mass family environment is basically for architects. It is not used by service engineers, and it is not used by structural engineers. It's basically used by architects who create and work with complex building forms, which can then be loaded into a project for you to do the building model there. So if you're an architect and you really want to design a building form based upon a concept, then this is the right environment for you to design your building form. So if you're an architect and you are not using the conceptual massing environment to evolve your building form, I would strongly advise you to make room and then dedicate yourself and then explore this conceptual massing environment, because it will go a long way to help you in evolving or coming out with proper designs for your work. And if you look at the conceptual massing environment too, the interface is also different. So if you go to the Create panel, for example, you don't see extrusion, you don't see revolve, you don't see blend, or you don't see the the traditional modeling tools. But here you see only drawing tools, line work, polygons, circles, spline and stuff. But I bet you there's no building form that you cannot create with these tools. So as we move on, I'll show you how you can utilize some of these tools to work with. All the other insert menu, view menu, and then the modify menu are all the same. The only unique difference is the create environment, where in the conceptual massing environment, we use basically line work to evolve our forms. Whereas in the model environment, model component environment, we use solid forms to create objects. And in the 2D environment, we use basically drafting tools to create 2D components. Thank you very much for watching this video. You are welcome. If you have further questions or if you need any better clarification, let me know and I will assist you with that. Thank you. You are welcome. Bye-bye.